Hi, I'm here with Marguerite Gray. You have a middle name, and I'm going to goof it up. It's Marguerite
Martin.
Martin Gray. That's right. Sorry
Yes,
about that. Marguerite Martin, because that's what your pen name is, correct?
right.
Marguerite Martin Gray. So she's got a fascinating life, and I just wanted to introduce her and let her just start talking, and then we'll jump into other things as we go. So Marguerite, just tell us some of the like. I read your website, and I was just enthralled with all that you've done in your life. So just kind of jump in there.
Well, thank you. And it's good to be here. I appreciate it. I had the wonderful opportunity of growing up in a family that traveled and enjoyed history and education. And when I was 10 years old, my family, my father, had convinced my mother, and we moved to England. And we lived in England
Wow.
for 2 years. So I was educated there for a couple of years. And we traveled to every church and cemetery in the country, I think. I mean, it was amazing. So I had this strange love for churches and cemeteries and old houses. And Daddy is an architect. He's still alive and he's still doing all that. And he would be very interested in houses and history. And so I had two sisters at that time. I was the oldest. Best position to be in is the oldest. And so we would go to these castles and we'd run around and we'd play and make up stories. And my parents were just wonderful in that. So basically, when I lived there, we went to 16 countries in Europe and we
Wow.
traveled in a caravan. I mean, we weren't staying in any kind of fine, we didn't have the money, any kind of fine hotel or anything, but in a caravan, three little girls and mom and daddy. And we were able to basically run around and play and learn about history and about the world for those couple of years. And then we went back. Many times we went back, and I blame my father for my continuous journey and traveling and
Yeah,
all
the
that
travel bug,
stuff.
huh?
Yes, I mean it's just I my feet don't stay on the ground much, although I always love touching the American soil again, and I'm very much comfortable here, of course, in Louisiana. So that is my story. I then in college I majored in French and Spanish and journalism. And that's kind of my writing. I kind of started when I was in fifth grade in England, and I was just encouraged to journal and to write stories, and picked up French then at that point when I was in England. So I came back and I did all that. And so then I majored in that. So I've taught in the classroom French and Spanish for X number of years, for many years. And during in 2020, it was just amazing. I had decided I was going to resign. I wasn't old enough to retire, but I was going to resign and write full time, do something, cool like that, because I already had some books published. But God pretty much told me that He wanted me to still contribute to the educational world. And so I applied for an online position. And so now I'm a full time French and Spanish online teacher. So I'm out of the classroom, but I'm still doing that and I love it. So I'm still not full time writing, although I do get some time to do that. But while I was in the classroom, I took students 11 times on 11 trips to Europe.
Wow.
We would
Wow.
we'd try to put France and Spain in there just because that's I was teaching those languages, but we did that, and then we took our own children. We had a boy and a girl. We took them to places in Europe also. We had exchange students here, so we went to Sweden to see their families, and so we've just been connected to education and travel economically.
Right.
Okay? We don't have any the money background, but we don't need it. I mean, we love to travel how we travel, and we've gone on mission trips to Ecuador and Guatemala, and recently my husband and I went to Peru and Argentina and Brazil, and we just love those places. So we're all over the place.
Wow, I guess
We're
you
going,
are.
yeah, we're going this summer on a Mediterranean cruise and to Slovenia and to Barcelona. You were talking about your husband. We're going to Barcelona for a couple of days, and we love Barcelona, so we'll enjoy that. So that is I do that, during the year whenever we can, as long as we can, and we'll take whoever wants to come with us. But anyway, so I went to England last year for 3 weeks with 2 author friends. Now that is a treat.
I'll
So
bet.
with some
I'll bet.
authors, yeah. So it
Wow.
was fun for
Wow,
research.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when you teach, what grade level then are you teaching now?
High school,
So you're
always high school. I cannot go any lower. I'm just so thankful somebody will teach those elementary kids.
I taught middle school for years.
I can do that too. 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
But give me those 9th through 12th graders. Love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
good.
exciting. So
Yeah.
your inspiration for writing, obviously, we do mostly focus on contemporary Christian
Yes.
work on this podcast, but you have extensive writing in the historical. So let's talk about that first.
Okay.
So
I have a it's called Revolutionary Faith series, and it's the American Revolution. And that all started with some research I had done on my family, who was from Charleston, South Carolina. And when the children were growing up and they were in high school and I had some free time, I would go to the Mississippi River and I'd sit on the banks there, and I would just start writing and researching and things like that. And so that series was birthed, and it was only supposed to be one book, and it ended up being 5. So, that's just how that goes. And that is historical. And then my newest series, Gardens in Time, goes back to when I traveled in Europe and have gone back many times. So the first one, Labor of Love, took place in the 1500s in Florence, Italy, one of my favorite places. And we've been back. I've been back as an adult and all that. So I did that one. And then the second one that's out is Promise of Purity. It takes place in England at Hampton Court Palace, and been there many times. Actually went last June, and so that was pretty nice. The next one that will be out next year takes place in France at my favorite place, Chenonceau-Chateau, and the last one is in Switzerland. That's the one I'm writing now.
Wow,
So
goodness,
that's all historical, but I am writing a contemporary.
So yeah, let's talk. Is that the Somali Island series?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So mine is, I think, number 6, maybe. It's either in that series, something like that. But it comes out July 25th, and it does take place in the Somali Islands, which are a make-believe South Pacific island group. And if you've read any of the others, I've read every one. I have my collection going. I purchased everyone, love them. That takes place. And it's really a lot of fun. I think contemporary is, I read it. I have no problem reading. I read yours, love them. I have no problem reading them. It's just the writing, but I can't stop researching. So for this series, I researched for 3 months. I bought all these books.
Wow.
And I love them, just to know the history, what could have gone on in those islands, and things like that. I have been to Hawaii. I've been to Maui, and so I kind of get that picture in my head. Thinking,
right.
Maybe I can picture the palm trees and the hammocks and snorkeling and all those kind of things. So I used that experience. I tried to convince my husband before this book came out to take me to Bora Bora, but he just didn't go.
No go. It's I was asked to come on to the Somali Island series group, and so I'm kind of like late to the party, just dropped in here and trying to catch up with all. And my book is due like now, basically. So I'm trying to.
So you are in the series?
Yes. Sandy asked if I would take over for Tabitha, but it's like, normally I would write a summer novella for my own series. And I said, I can't do a summer novella, a Christmas novella, and a novel in a year. And she goes, let's skip your summer novella. And if you could do this, but it's like, I'm like voraciously looking at the Facebook posts and trying to figure it out because I'm new to the party and I don't have time.
I'm so excited.
Well, I'm so scared because it's like, I don't know enough, but.
So you will be year 2 and 3.
I will be year 2 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Awesome. Yes, this year, for the next 3 years, 23, I will write a Christmas novella, the Somali novel, and a full novel for these 3 years. That's 3 a year. And it's
That's what
a
I
lot.
that's what I do, but I'm not working full time like you
I
are.
know. And it's a lot. And I told Sandy, yes, I'll do it. And it's good for me. And it's good for me. So I
Yeah.
have it all scheduled out.
Yeah, you have to, it makes you be really disciplined about your time. So tell us a little bit with you working full time, what is it like for you for your scheduling? I mean, for scheduling your writing, marketing. I mean, there's a lot. People don't realize how much they think writers sit down and they, spend a little time writing and that's all there is to it. But there's a lot to it.
There's a whole lot to it. And I'm a very, very, very organized person, and I always have been. So I always treated writing, especially when I knew it was going to be published with a publisher, as a job. And so I scheduled that time. So the way my job works with teaching online, since it's not live, I do not have to be available, to teach at certain times or lesson plans, anything like that. So in the morning, I make sure everybody's taken care of, my 250 students, all taken care
Whoa.
of. Everything's graded. All the tests are open. I've answered all the questions. And then, but before all that, I'll have my quiet time in the morning, and then I'll spend 30 minutes writing, just 30 minutes in the morning before I even touch school. That just gets those ideas flowing and the juices. And then I'll go into my teaching. And then about 11 o'clock, 11:30, I will take a break and do whatever I need to do housewise. And then I'll put on a timer. And I'm very much on my phone. I'll just put on a timer for 45 minutes. And so I'll sit down and I'm writing 45 minutes. Then I get up and I will go and check my schoolwork. Probably nothing, but maybe I need to answer an email or something like that. And then I'll go back. So I do it in 45-minute sections. And that way I'm available for my job and I will get words written every day. What I try to do, this is a month for writing. And because I've done all my research, this is for my big novel, my 90,000 word novel. So I have been doing it for 3 months. So I have all the research done. And so March, April, and May have been the writing. And so each month I'll write 30,000 words. And so this is the last month, but I'll do that major writing. And so when June hits, and I'm also editing something else because those kind of get thrown in there. But when June hits, then I'll be thinking of the next thing and doing research and then getting, that ready. So every month isn't writing 30,000 words. Some of those months are full research with editing, thrown in there, things like that. But with 2 novels and a novella this year, it's a lot. But at nighttime, I'll do the editing and things like that. Now, social media, I also will set a time for social media because social media can take up hours. I could sit there hours and go and search. I mean, just enjoy everybody else's posts and things like that. I mean, I do enjoy it, but I know that I need to get my stuff out there, and I need to participate with other groups and people and things like that. So that'll also, and I will set a time of 45 minutes just works for me. So 45 minutes where I need to post, I need to do my blog, I need to anything like that. I'm not a big reel person, REL, like some people I know, but I do get some of those out there. But I was told that you're not supposed to spend a whole lot of time doing that they need to be more just spontaneous. And so I'll do some of that, but summer's coming, and so maybe I'll have more time to do that.
I think it's easier. It's easier if you can be outside and you can do a spontaneous quick reel than if you're stuck inside in the bad weather. Makes it much easier.
Yes. But, and I do that, and I'll go out and I'll do a lot of my reels. A lot of them do with books, but actually have to do with other people's books. And what I'll do is I'll just, this is what I'm reading, or the Somali series. I'll just say this is because my book's not out, so I'm pretty much look at these books. They're great. So I will do that, and I'm just not good at it. I know you
It's a
really are.
struggle.
I
No,
know it's a
it's a
struggle.
struggle. It's like,
It doesn't look like you're struggling, but it's a learning curve, huge learning curve for
well, and then they
me.
say, oh, how about make sure it's under 15 seconds. So now
Yes,
you're like trying to cram everything into 15 seconds and then make it
exactly.
where people are getting something from it. It's like, goodness sake,
Yes.
it's like,
I know. And then next week it'll change.
yeah,
And that's what gets me is that, all of a sudden everything's changed in what people are doing. They're not doing that. I just caught up and all of a sudden it's changed again.
right. As soon as you figure
But
out how to do it, they change how to do it.
right, exactly. So, but my book this summer is called Room for Love, and it takes it's a B&B on Alexander Island. Um, we have the Amy Lee is the proprietor. She owns it, and her husband, he actually passed away 12 years ago. And so she has an older son that's going to college. So she's kind of empty nest, but she has this B&B. And then the hero is a guy from New Mexico. He's a professor, archaeologist, and he comes and he lost his wife 2 years ago. So it's all that dynamic. And then it'll go into book 2 and book 3. So right now,
Now you're using the same main characters in every book.
I am using the B&B is the central place.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And so, yes, it does continue, except that the main characters actually become 2 different people in book 2 and then 2 other people in book 3. Right. But it all goes back to Amy and Walker and that situation. And then you bring in the other books. So I have Tidal Wave. I have the bookmobile is there. And I have we did a pottery session, and that was one of the recent books. We did a pottery session with whoever that was. So it's fun bringing all the other characters in. And I don't know if you read the other series, the Independence Island series.
I read some of them.
I read all those. And so
where do you find
and that's
time
how,
to read?
they just bring
you're
these
writing,
characters
you're teaching,
into each book. So it's kind of
you're writing, you're teaching, you're reading voraciously. Where I don't know,
yes.
do you sleep?
Yes. I do sleep. But I do not have children home anymore. I do have 2 grandchildren. We do have to travel to see them. And my husband still works, so he's not there. I don't have to worry about, him being in here. I just, I stay very busy and I love it. I like it and I sleep. I'm fine. I have to get 7 hours sleep. So I'll go to sleep reading, It gets done. I love it. But I've always been a reader. And when I went to England, they had a wonderful store, W.H. Smith. And we would go there and we would always be able to pick out a book. When we went to the big towns, pick out a book. And I loved horses. So I got all the horse books from England. I got just everything. And so that never stopped. The writing came later. And just kind of a natural thing, I guess, but always a reader. So if you had to take something away from me, it would have to be the writing, because I can't stop reading. So that's just in there.
I was always a reader too, but it's finding time to fit everything in there. It makes it really hard.
Yeah. Well, what I want to do, and I did a blog about this one time, and I kind of got people's opinions, is I think it would be great to have a whole day where all you did was read. And I think, and people are saying, this is what I do, and things like that. So I've started taking one Saturday a month, and that's not much, but one Saturday a month. And that's what I do. So I don't do social media. I'm not writing. I'm not researching. I'm reading, probably not 8 hours a day, but I'm reading, 5 hours a day. I get through a book, and I get to finish the book. But I think if you do every now and then, just to kind of reward yourself, and just say, okay, I'm going to read for an hour. And
it's got to be a good book, though. It's got to be a really good book.
Yeah. Well, I can't. Once I start a book, it has to be really bad for me to put it down.
Does it?
But I really, I finish. I'm covered to the end. So,
good for you.
Yeah, I don't like to stop, because what if it gets good?
I know.
Really the best thing in the world, page 95.
I think it's different personalities. Like for me, it's like I'm organized, but I'm a rule keeper. And if I start seeing that things are falling apart and there's no structure, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't do well with that. So I think personality plays into it,
Sure. Sure.
So we know what inspired you. We know where your story ideas came from. Now we know a little bit about your writing, what you do for your writing. What other things can you share that I see you post a lot of stuff on I'm a plant person too. I'm outside with
yes.
Every time I get a bloom, I'm like all excited. Like it's especially this time of year, it's everything is like
I am too.
And I noticed that you post a lot of flowers.
I do. Gardening. We live in the country, in a small town out in North Louisiana, and we moved here because my parents have an old plantation house, 1848, and so they're still alive and they're still over there and they're still doing all their garden stuff and everything. And so we live a block away from them, and it's actually a city block that we own, and it's full of daffodils. And this is called the the jonquil capital of the world. I don't know how you get anything of the world, but anyway, so our whole field is full of flowers. And then I have my personal gardens that each year they increase. I just pull, the boundary, just make it larger and put, my mom calls me an accidental gardener because I'll throw things out like a pumpkin. And then the next year there will be, a pumpkin patch. I haven't planted a seed. God's done everything. I haven't done anything. And then my favorites are things like zinnias that I just put the seeds out, sunflowers, all that kind of stuff, rose bushes that I'll just plant and they'll just keep on producing. And then we have all the old stuff that's been here forever, like the irises and the tiger lilies. Daylilies. Daylilies are a big deal here.
Yeah. So we have we have daylilies, a lot of daylilies. Iris is actually Tennessee's state flower is the iris.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. And when we moved here from Northern California 5 years ago, we lived on 20 acres out in the country up near the Sierra Nevadas. So we had irises all over and they would grow. You can't kill an iris. I mean, they just will grow anywhere. And I was digging some of them up to bring them with us. And my husband's like, well, how do you know they're even going to grow there? And I looked it up and I said, I think they're going to grow there. So yeah, irises are huge here. The daylilies are a huge thing here. Yeah. So yeah, I love all that stuff too. The flowers and just, they just expand with the irises and the daylilies. You have a one year and the next year you've got 7, they just go on. So that's fun.
Right. And I'm also a big walker. I love to walk. I love to hike. I love to do any of that. So that's my form of exercise. And I'll just take my dog and we'll just go walking through the woods because we have lots of property that's wooded, and we'll just go walking. But anytime, just
sounds perfect.
Walking all the time and love that. And when I take after my 45 minutes of whatever I'm doing, I'm usually outside walking or doing something with the garden and then come back in and start working again. So anyway, and I was just a little tidbit. I was a pastor's wife for over 30 years. And so we got out of that and are doing, other things. And so that really kept me busy for all those years when the kids were growing up and things like that. So
your husband's no longer a pastor. What does he do?
He's no longer a pastor. He is he works for an investment company.
Okay.
So he's a financial advisor.
That's quite a difference.
Well, not the way he looks at it is it's still helping people. It's helping people with their finances, with their decisions, just like you did as a pastor. You're there to comfort, to help, to guide, and things like that. So he kind of meshed those two, and it works. It works. And he's still ministering, but just in a different capacity.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. So here we have a little more time. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share.
Love having grandkids. I didn't know that I'd ever have any, and
I don't think I will. We've adopted grandkids. Just we're desperate.
I didn't think I would either. I'm not gonna have any more. I have 2 grandsons and that's it. And I just love and understand now what people are saying about grandkids, because it's just, it's just wonderful. But I know that there's a gap of about 10, 12 years, and then they don't want to have, then so I need to enjoy them for 10 to 12 years. And that's,
I don't know. My kids, they adore the grandparents to this day. They still adore their grandparents. I
Yeah,
don't think that
yeah,
changes, you know.
yeah.
It's
I'm
easier
hoping
than
now with
kids.
his boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just really love loving on them and doing things like that. And
And how
um,
old are they? Their
they
grand.
are 9 months and 3.5.
Oh wow, they're little.
They're little. They are babies, and they live in Florida and in South Louisiana. So I have to travel, and I'll just take off since I can take my work with me.
Yeah.
I have no problem just taking it, and I can take care of the baby and do my work when I need to. So it's really good. I really enjoy
Nice. Well,
it.
well, I'm looking forward to reading your Somali Island. I need to I need to read them all just so I can get some research. I'm like, okay, do
You
they have a
do.
hospital on Ali Ali? Is there a hospital there? You know, so you
Right.
start looking at that stuff because it's all brand new and you have to find out all those things before you actually start being part
You
of it.
do. You do.
Yeah.
But it's a very I like the series. It's a very touristy and modern. So
Mhm.
you're going to have a hospital. It's not as if you're just in a jungle and there's
Right.
nothing there. It's
Right.
very I like the way it's been put together. So it makes sense to me because
Yeah.
that's kind of how we travel. We're not just going to be put down, in a uninhabited place. So I think you'll enjoy it.
I think
I
so
think really
too. Is
good.
this your first contemporary book?
It is. It is my first contemporary.
Now, are you having a hard because you're a researcher, so you research the Samoan culture and everything, obviously.
Right.
But
Yes.
you're still researching
I'm
everything.
still researching and I have to. I can't, that's just part of it. And so you'll see those kind of things in my book where it's where that culture, because I'm a big culture person. I think our culture, whatever it is very, very important. And like I love the French culture. I love, the British culture, all those kind of and Louisiana culture. So that plays a big part in what I write and what I read. I want to, when I pick up a book, anybody's book, I want to learn something.
Right.
I really do. Education. My motto is entertain, educate, encourage. So I'm wanting to, when I write, I want you to, have fun with it, be entertained. It's a good use of your time. I want you to learn something. I mean, it's not a history book, but I want you to learn something, and then I want you to be encouraged. Through scripture, through God, through something, in there. So be encouraged. So education is a big deal to me. It
Yeah.
always has been in pretty much everything I do. So any book, contemporary, classic, anything I want to learn. I mean, I don't have to learn a lot, but I want to learn something. So those little tidbits, if you can throw those in there,
Make a
about their
difference.
history,
Make a
it makes
difference.
it interesting.
Well,
So
I'm looking forward to seeing that come out in July. So, as I've told people before, when we do these podcast interviews, it's usually way before we actually publish. So, this is May 11th as we're doing this. So, Marguerite's book doesn't come out till July, but this will get published in June. So you can pre-order it even today. So I'll make sure that the pre-order link gets put on in the show notes so people know where to go. I'll have your website in the show notes so people can connect with you there as well. And we'll just hope this blesses you. So I appreciate you
thank you.
coming on,
I
Marguerite,
appreciate
and
it.
talking to me. And it's been a blast. I hope you'll come back again. Maybe when you get your next book ready to come out, we can do this again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Bye.
it. Bye.